Happy Saturday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Matt Willson SFL Kickoff Show. I'm Mike Daggs. He is Gerald Smith. Behind the scenes, our production crew is Cameron Irvine, Ron Haynes, and Jeffrey Daggs for this special Saturday afternoon edition of the Matt Willson SFL Kickoff Show. We welcome you to week 9 of season 25 in the Simulation Football League. Gerald, we mentioned at the end of our last show that we weren't going to be on next week, and apparently, if there's no Matt Willson show, there's no SFL.
Nothing exists
Canceled
without the Willson show. Look, that's how we've been proving it and proving points for a long time now. We're legit.
This is
another proof that we're legit.
If you didn't have the Willson show, the league pushed the week all the way back to the end of the season. Said if you can't be here, we're going to need you.
That's what it's about.
Later on. So hey,
we made it.
We're legit. We're probably going to get canceled after
probably.
this, but it's all good. We'll have one last show. Listen, here we are on week 9, week 8. It was all a bad dream. Never happened. But let's recap week 7. Even though it seems like it was so long ago, there were so many one-score games. It was a great competitive week of action. If you remember, I know it seems like a month ago now, but we started the week off Vancouver and Houston. That was one heck of a game. Ended up being just a relatively low-scoring game, 17-10. Houston getting the win over the previously undefeated Vancouver Legion.
And it was pretty impressive because Vancouver was known for putting up a ton of points up until they went into Houston. And Houston stood really tall, and Houston kind of emerging as a pretty good team to compete in the South.
Oh, trust me, I'm looking. I'm watching them. I'm watching them close. We have to also head into Houston later on this season, and I got that circled on my calendar, and there's actually a little sad face right next to it. But we'll be ready. We'll be ready. So Arizona hosting another South Division team, the Bossier City Steamers. Bossier City just struggling to find their footing. They got defeated by Arizona 24-10, and Bossier City falls to 1-5.
Yeah, and Bossier City is ultra talented too, right? So I just think they got some scheme things they need to work on and clean up. You know, like especially with Johnny, right? When he gets into opponent's territory, the turnovers tend to happen, which has killed a lot of their drives.
It sure has. How about Buffalo, the Queen City Corsairs shutting out the Carolina Skyhawks? This was definitely not one of the one-score games, 24-0.
And Carolina's in trouble. Have nothing. They're in trouble. It seems like they're reeling. They don't know what's going on. But look, like you said, Queen City had a dominant win.
Yeah, it was a dominant win for sure. One of the close games, Sin City visiting Los Angeles, 31-29. Sin City getting the win over the Lycans, and the Lycans falling to 1-4 on the season now.
And L.A. failed 2-point conversion right at the end. Didn't get it done. Tied it up. They tried to get the onside. Didn't happen.
Here's some of the other games. We had Denver getting the win over Minnesota, 17-13. The Oklahoma City Renegades, how about them, 37-30 over the Charleston Predators. We'll talk about Charleston a little bit more later on. And then, of course, the Mexico City Aztecs visiting Florida, beating them by 29 points.
Florida is who I thought they were.
They are struggling, but the Aztecs just played lights out in all 3 phases of the game. Well, really, you know what? It was the defense and special teams. The offense, Jordan Stipe threw the ball 6 times. That was it. Hey, we gave him a week off. 2 kick return touchdowns.
Yep.
Pick sixes. We see Miranda Dumas getting that pick 6. So, and let's see, Detroit taking on Fort Worth. The Toros getting a win. That was a 4-point margin of victory. That was 27-23. And then, of course, the Monday Night Spectacular. You had Baltimore taking on the undefeated D.C. Dragons. And how about D.C. getting that win 24-20? It was a close game, but the Dragons remain undefeated.
6-0. And what I thought was more impressive, like with Baltimore winning the previous week before, came in there and played the Dragons real tough.
Yep. And
they did it right there. But here you are, Dragons, the only unbeaten team in the league right now.
They are indeed the only unbeaten team. Let's talk about those current standings. D.C. obviously up there in number 1 at 6-0. Houston, you mentioned them being kind of a rising star, 5-1. They're second best in the league standings wise. But we've got the Mexico City Aztecs and the Vancouver Legion both tied at 4-1, hot on their heels, and one of those teams will stay hot on their heels. One of them's going to slip just a little bit down those rankings as we are going to break down that game in detail here in a little bit.
See, and the thing I'm looking at here is the top 4 teams, D.C., Houston, Mexico City, and Vancouver. I do think all 4 of those you guys have separated yourselves from the pack. Even though Arizona at 4-2,
yep,
they beat you guys in week 1.
They did.
But, I mean, you guys have separated yourself from every other team in the league right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens later on here in Week 9 when we take on the 4-1 Vancouver Legion in Vancouver. And as you said, Arizona rounding out the top 5. Listen, normally I stop at the top 5, but I'm going to bring up number 6. You know what? Why don't you bring up number 6? Who's the number 6 right now?
Louisiana North.
There they are, the Pittsburgh Riverhawks. How about them at 3-2? Congratulations, Pittsburgh. You're relevant.
They are. And they're doing it 3 in a row.
They are indeed. All right, let's talk about our offensive and defensive player spotlights from Week 7. So we'll jump right into it. The offensive player spotlight for Week 7 is none other than the Sin City Samurai wide receiver, Al Dillapre Sr. Let's look at this beautiful footage that Ron Haynes put together. 11 receptions, 167 yards, 15-yard average. He had a touchdown along of 30. Scar Patterson completed 20 passes in the game in that win. More than half of them were to Al Dillapre Sr. You see him find the hole in the zone there. Here comes the 30-yarder. This is it. Look, he's just wide open. Just finds that hole, is able to work his way up the sideline. But that was the long, and you know I love it when somebody's got 167 yards and their long is only 30. That means that they were a big, important target. Here we are on 3rd down and 5. From the opponent's 12, is able to get that touchdown reception. So, that's the sort of plays that he was making. He was just the go-to guy for Scar Patterson all day, could totally be counted on. And see, he's going to run a post route right here. And look at this. Catches the ball, gets just smashed when he goes and climbs that ladder, but he's able to hang on. We see all too often these receivers going up, trying to catch that ball, and they get rocked like this, and the ball goes popping out. Heck, sometimes it gets picked off. No, not Al Dillapre Sr. Of course, he was the halftime player of the game, but he was not done yet. Comes right back out in the 3rd quarter, gets a 13-yard reception right here. Playing in the slot on this one. Patterson rolls to that side, and, listen, he didn't get wide open on that one, but that's the point, too. He's able to catch the ball either in open space or in traffic. He's well covered there. One of the Lycans defenders obviously going for a pick there and missed, but got hit again and still was able to catch the ball. You see the graphic there, 6 receptions for 94 yards. And then right here, bam, 14-yarder straight over the middle, catches it, breaks a tackle, gets a little bit of yak, and goes over 100 yards on the day. But this is what I love. This is what makes a receiver beneficial for the team. Here's a running play. Look at this block. If you can do more than just catch and you can set up key blocks like that, this sets up a 1st down and goal for Sin City. It was a key play that helped them win the game. Being a receiver is more than just about being a go-to weapon for your quarterback and being able to find your way open and catching the ball. Blocking, also key. But, hey, why not one more reception just to close out the video, because that's what he's really out here doing. 11 catches, 167 yards, 15 yards per reception average. If you can average a 1st down and a half every single time that you touch that ball and you find your way into the end zone and you can block, Al Dillapre Sr., you are the offensive player of the week for Week 7. Congratulations.
Look, and I couldn't agree more. Why? Because of the stats they're able to put up.
Yep.
Look, Sin City, right, even going back to the Ken days, everybody knows them for a real rushing team, right? Scar Patterson isn't a type of quarterback that can beat you, right? But a guy like Al Dillapre Sr., if they get that link up just like they did last week, they can make great things happen, and they did, which proves, hey, look, they have a passing game that they can utilize when they can, and when it's clicking, this is the result you get, over 150 yards, 11 receptions on the day, a real dominant performance, right? And like I said, look, I like that you always point out, even with the running backs, they're getting just 10 yards, 12 yards at most, maybe under 20 yards is their max, which means they're putting in the work, they're getting good blocks, and they're doing what they need to do. It shows their impact. They didn't get it 80 yards on one run, and they have 120 on the day.
And that's what I was just going to say. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you see a running back has 120 yards and a touchdown. It's like, wow, that's a great day. Oh, well, they had one breakaway play of 95 yards, and you look, and it's like, well, I mean, sure, they ran 95 yards, but the O-line did all the work. That's not who you want to highlight.
Correct.
You want to highlight a workhorse like this. Very reminiscent of, listen, I'll be a little biased, my guy, Noe Terrazas. You see him out there blocking. You see him out there catching in traffic, getting hit, holding onto the ball. When I was watching this game, Al Dillapre Sr., I'm like, he's doing the same thing. That's what I liked about that. It was great to see. Let's jump right into your defense. Defensive player spotlight, Gerald.
So my defensive player spotlight is DC Dragons linebacker Chris Britton III. You can see his stats right there: 6 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 pass breakup as well. And guess what? You're going to see why it's important right here. He starts off right in the passing game right there. What he does, plays coverage really well. And guess what? Picks it off and nearly takes it all the way back in the right spot, showing that he can play right. That's the first defensive play of the game for the Dragons, and he makes it an instant impact right off. He's like, this is the tone we're going to set while we're on our way to 6-0. And again, he's playing right out on the edge where you typically see corners playing right here. And what he does, look, gets right in there, and this is the very next play, right? All these kind of plays, this right is going to kind of blend together right here, and you're going to see really good playing man coverage and getting right there, right in on the spot. Right? Look, and he's doing good things, right? And that's what I like to see. Those are the eye test things I like to see from these guys. He's back in his more natural linebacker position right there. Look at the pursuit he has. Stand back, and guess what? Sees the guy, grab the ball, attacks, and makes the tackle. And now, look, and here we are again. We're going to take a look at him again right on the outside, on the right side of the defense. In coverage right here, what he does, breaks up a pass right there, playing really good pass defense. And, we have a lot of linebackers in the league that aren't as good playing the pass.
Right.
He's showing here he can play it off the edge and actually playing coverage as well. Now he's playing more on the line of scrimmage right here. What he does, come off the line of scrimmage, grabs another pick right there, plays it really well. It's almost like he's playing press coverage as a linebacker. You don't see that all too often. But guess what? He does it, and he does it really well, being able to play, because a lot of the highlights just showcases him. Hey, in the passing game, not only is he a stud of a linebacker, but he can play in the pass as well. Look, and we're going to see thing once again. One more, right? What's he do? Get back there. And what he does, he say, hey, I can play underneath, and I can just knock the ball out the way. Playing great coverage. I like to see linebackers be a lot more physical than just playing the line of scrimmage inside and being that second-tier, defense. But guess what? He gets in there, he does it. He helps his team get to 6-0 with his play like that, knowing that Baltimore is a team who loves to pass the ball now more than they like to run.
Yes.
DC schemed very well. Chris Britton obviously was very, very good at what he did last week. And on the season for him, 40 tackles on the season, 9 TFLs, and 4 interceptions. He got 2 last week. He's putting in the work. Congratulations to him, to Chris Britton III, doing this thing and help his team be still undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're a key cog on a defense that has an undefeated team, it's honestly surprising that we don't spotlight him every week, but he had one heck of a week statistically back there in week 7. If you have a great secondary and you can get those turnovers, that's always going to help you win. But when your linebackers are helping you get those interceptions, when your linebackers are breaking up passes, I mean, that's how you go 6-0.
See, could you? I mean, you're offensive coordinator. A lot of the routes sometimes I see you guys utilize, right? It's kind of over the middle in that mid tier, right in the linebacker, just below the safeties. But if you can get a guy like your linebacker pushed a little bit further back and he plays that coverage like he can, it can change the way that an offense schemes against you, and you can change it. And just like this, you can get a couple of picks off of it and kind of change the game and what he had. So those 2 picks are really important. Start off the game really, really hot for them, right? And then, right at the end, he's in there, he's knocking the ball down and everything else. So, look, credit to him and every other linebacker that's able to do it across the league right now.
I see you, John Fowler. Listen, you say Louisiana North every 2 seconds. I'm going to call out my guys.
Well, you got to.
You got to call them out. It's our show. Congratulations to Al Dillapre Sr. and Chris Britton III, our defensive player spotlight and offensive player spotlight for Week 7. But we're in Week 9 now. What happened to Week 8? It was all a dream. Never happened. So Week 8 became Week 16. It just, boom, doubled. That was a little John Madden right there.
Yeah, it was.
There's a guy that has Week 8 become Week 16, Pat. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know where that even came from. I'll be okay.
It happened.
It happened. We'll get into Week 9. So, who's not playing here in Week 9? Bossier City, Florida, Fort Worth, Houston, and Oklahoma City all getting a weekend away. So, we've got the Matt Willson SFL Kickoff Show right now here on Saturday afternoon. Coming up early in the afternoon here. I love that we have some early afternoon games this week. I miss some of those early weekend games.
We never really like way back in the day, right?
Yeah.
We had them and everything
Those
else.
1
It was
p.m.
like
games.
1 p.m. games. Look, I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy. Like I got my stuff done early on in the day. I can sit back and watch SFL almost all day long.
I'm out there cutting the grass at 6 a.m. making my neighbors mad.
And then Cam says everything's at like 6:30 p.m. and 7
Well, he don't wake up till 1
p.m.
in the afternoon now.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he's old. What can I say?
But still sexy. Love you, Cam.
Absolutely. All right, so starting at 2 p.m., we've got Baltimore at Denver. Cameron Duty, DJ Kilgannon on the call. You're going to hear his name a couple of times throughout this schedule. At 2:15, we've got Los Angeles at Chicago with Tyler Falk and Stephen Mullinex. And then at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, so you get a little break. Go get yourself some dinner. Go cut the grass. Don't do it at 6 a.m. Do it after the LA-Chicago game. At 6:30 p.m., we've got Arizona at Albuquerque. We've got Jacob Clear and Wade Phillips on the call for you. And then at 6:45, it's a game we're not going to break down, but we came so close to. We just knew that Gerald wouldn't be able to contain his enthusiasm. So Queen City at Pittsburgh, Louisiana North. Alex West and, once again, DJ Kilgannon on the call for that one. I'm sure you're going to be watching that one.
Definitely.
Going to be a good one. So, and then on a special Saturday night spectacular at 9 p.m. Make sure you tune in because this truly will be the game of the week. We've got 4-1 Mexico City at 4-1 Vancouver. Charles Irvine and, unfortunately, Charles Doherty is a little under the weather. We'll see if he's better by Saturday evening, tonight, I should say. But currently, Eddie Gage on the call with Cameron Irvine for a Saturday night spectacular. And you know what? That would make it truly spectacular.
It's a Saturday night. I tell you what, Eddie seems like a guy that's like, if I want a spectacular Saturday night, Eddie Gage is my man.
Yeah. You know what? We'll keep him on there. Charles, you're done. Go get healthy. Then Sunday, we'll be back on the air tomorrow. We've got Minnesota at Detroit at 6:30 p.m. You and I will call that one. So we're not going to call any games today. We're just going to listen. We got to cut the grass. You know,
I got to cut the grass. I got to mentally prepare myself for Louisiana North.
Yep.
Later tonight, I'm watching that one.
Yeah, you're gonna wear like I don't know
I don't know what I'm gonna wear. I might just wrap myself in a Revs jersey.
I was just saying, an old Revs jersey.
I love you. Let's go.
I miss you, horse. Yeah, don't do that. Not on the air. Don't do that. So Minnesota at Detroit will be at 6:30 p.m. We've got at 6:45 Lexington at Charleston. Talk about that one a little bit. DJ Kilgannon on play-by-play this time, and he'll be joined in the booth with Jesse Long. So thank you, DJ. I hope everybody likes hearing DJ on the call because you get to hear him 3 times this weekend. We had some people call off, and DJ stepped up every single time. The guy's a legend.
Can't call off unless we do, guys. Just remember
I'm
that.
saying, yeah. 9 p.m. We got Carolina at Washington. Eddie Gage and Brett Solberg on the call together. Eddie Gage on play-by-play. Again, he loved it so much he just had to come back for seconds. And then at 9:15, Sin City at undefeated DC. It's going to be a tough one. Chris Curtis and Alex West joined together on the call. So we're going to break down a couple of games. We're going to break down the one that we're calling because this should be a great game. Minnesota at Detroit. We're going to break down Mexico City at Vancouver.
We have to.
How can you not? Listen,
correct.
It's the Saturday Night Spectacular. There is no SFL This Week show to break it down. If it's to be, it's up to us, Gerald. We've got to do it.
We got to hype it up for tonight.
That's what I'm saying. It's time to play some football. It's been far too long since we've had SFL games. Tonight's the night. We got to get them going early this afternoon, leading up into tonight. We're going to talk about that game as well. First, let's talk about the one that we'll be doing tomorrow evening, I should say. Minnesota at Detroit. The rivalry continues, only now it's being played out in Detroit. Both of these teams entered the league back in season 19. They've battled it out ever since. Minnesota currently leads the series between them 5-3 in what will be their 9th matchup in this history. They're in separate divisions now, and both of these teams are looking up in their respective divisions at their division rivals. For Minnesota, they're still in the Central Division, but in a rare twist, they find themselves in last place there. They're currently tied at 2-3 with Oklahoma City, and the Renegades beat them back in week 2. That was a game we both
already
picked
know.
wrong.
Yeah, everybody could get fired. And that's the thing.
And ahead of them is also Chicago and Denver at 3-2 each, both of whom, honestly, Chicago too, they look poised to continue to find success as the season moves on. For Detroit, they're in the middle of the pack in the North Division. They're ahead of Baltimore, go figure, at 2-3, and Queen City, who's also 2-3, but they're behind Pittsburgh at 3-2. Again, go figure. Like this.
It's crazy.
Standings are all upside down and sideways.
Crazy.
And they're, of course, also behind D.C., 6-0. So
if I had to pick a team that would be 6-0, it would not be DC right
wouldn't
now.
have been the Dragons. No,
Would not.
no. But congrats to them. They're doing it. So Detroit, they've got to keep on winning if they're going to try to keep up with DC. There's plenty of season left for teams to move around here in the standings, but we're at the midway point now. So now it's where every game is starting to become more and more crucial. Every game's more important to get the win. Every loss just puts you that much further behind. So will Minnesota find their way back to 500, or will Detroit regain their winning record?
And Minnesota, right? Look, they have played much better the last few weeks, even with the loss to Denver,
Yep.
right? And in the previous game they played, they rely pretty heavily on ball control offense, right? That's the way they have been successful over the last few seasons. They control it, and they're able to get these yards out. Like, hey, look, they get chunk yardage. They make third and shorts look really easy in terms of getting to that third and short.
Sure.
They get a chunk, and they have a very little to go, and then they end up converting it, right? But and they were able to get that power game, the power run game going along with Colin Hart. But last week they were not able to do it, only getting 2.4 yards a carry with Colin Hart, and he only had 49 yards on the ground.
Didn't even hit 50.
He averages over 5 yards a carry in all their wins they had recently, right? The 2 wins they had in a row, he over 5 yards a carry. Quarterback Johnny Reno, right, was almost mistake-free last week, but threw an interception late, which sealed their fate as a loss. But look, despite the recent loss, they still have the number 10 ranked offense, the number 9 rushing attack, where they are also number 1 in the SFL with averaging 5 yards per carry this season.
They are.
In the run game. They just need to get that ball control offense going again in Detroit if they want to win. If they don't do it, I think they struggle because they rely on getting, like I said, a chunk of yards, and then they have that 3rd and 2, really, really short, and it's a whole lot easier for them to convert, and their offense flows, right? And they end up having these 12-play drives that seem to, when they're playing really well, seem to result into touchdowns after 12, 14 plays, and it eats up a ton of clock, and the opponents don't have much going on.
And defensively, in their couple of in their 3 losses, they really kind of struggled. But you talk about specifically the last 3 games, the defense has really started to turn it around. Even though it might not look like it on paper, they've really helped the offense out here.
Yeah, and they have helped outscore their opponents, right? 75-34.
Yeah.
Over the last 3 games. They pressured the opposing quarterback very well. They're number 7 in sacks in the league, right? And they're led by Mark Mello, who has 5.5 of their 11.5 sacks on the season. Look, and they play the line of scrimmage really well as well, having a top 6 run defense, but they are 4th worst in takeaways. They're not particularly well at taking the ball away. If they can start forcing more turnovers, I think we could see them separate themselves and become the team that we've always seen like in the past, right? How to get there, and they're like a top 4 seed going to the playoffs, right? But look, if they can do that, they're going to show everybody, hey, look, we still are what we are as the season goes on, but if they can't force turnovers, they still may struggle. And I think their key players, getting Colin Hart going on the ground, and the entire defense force mistakes to get those turnovers, to get the offense back the ball, to put up more points.
Let's talk about Detroit. Listen, I know you love to hate on Chicago and Carolina all the time, but now it seems like you've added a 3rd team into the fold.
I did.
Why do you got to hate on Detroit?
I just don't know what we're getting from their offense week in and week out.
That's fair.
Right? And look, I love the hate on a lot of teams like you mentioned, but look, it's like I don't know what I'm going to get from it. Look, yes, they do boast the number 4 rush offense, right?
They can run the ball
with running back Gibson, Sutherland, and Harleman. But they are second to last in the league in pass offense, right? And it just doesn't feel right to me, right? Like, and here's an interesting stat line. I looked stuff up. I'm like, all right, let me see why I don't like them, right? The offense has scored 43 points in their 3 wins.
Okay.
But has scored 64 points on offense in their losses. Typically, you would see that. That just don't make sense. You would see that flipped around. Like, what is going on? You scoring a third more when you lose? It just doesn't make sense. Look, they have scored an average of 7 points more in losses than they do in their victories, right? They have this, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Make it make sense.
Yeah,
It just doesn't.
it's
You look
mind-boggling.
at it. That's why games aren't played on paper, by the way. Look, and they have the second most rushing attempts in the league, which tells me that which proves that they're not too good in the pass game as well, right? Quarterback Ethan Flowers is ranked near the bottom in pass yards. He's ranked 22nd. Completion percentage, number 20. QBR, he's ranked 21st.
Right.
And only has 4 touchdowns to 8 interceptions on the season. They need better production from him if they want to compete with which is what I would consider in the league as elite. I don't think they are at the point. Yeah, they've beaten some teams, but I don't think they consider it elite. They need to fix that offense to get themselves back where they need to be.
And let's talk about the defense, too. Let's talk about that stat line again. 43 points in their 3 wins, but 64 points were scored offensively in their 3 losses. So why are they 3-3? Kind of the defense's fault. Listen, if you score 64 if you score more wins when you lose, the defense is to blame.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the offense is putting up what it needs, but guess what? They're giving up a lot more points, right?
Yeah.
I really do think, look, they're 3-3. I think they could be looking at themselves 1-5 at this point.
Yeah.
Right, in the season. Look, they rank top 7 across all defensive categories with them having the number 2 total defense in the SFL.
Yep.
They play the line of scrimmage better than any other team. Look, and lead the SFL. They have probably the best front 4 of anybody, right? They actually have, the lead SFL 35 sacks. 35 sacks.
It's great.
The best front 4 I've seen in a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? As we've seen them get 15 sacks in a game and still lose.
Yep.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Look, but 32 of those 35 sacks come from the defensive front. Sean Parent, 14 sacks, which is first. Robert Cherry, second, which is 9 sacks. And then you got defense in Thomas Matthews, 5 sacks, along with Frodo Laggins in with 4 sacks. Look, and let's not forget they're also number 3 in TFLs as well. This is the team that's kind of keeping it together, right? But in their losses, they've given up a lot more than what you would think.
Yeah.
And going to when your
got
offense
that
is
front
finally
four.
when your offense is finally putting up that many points, you got to hold true. It's
Right.
not time for you to just say, he's scoring a lot of points and just hang
Yeah.
out. No, don't do that, right? Their only knock is also that they struggle to take the ball away on defense. But guess what? They may seem like they might not need that type of stuff if they had the front 4 like they do. But guess what?
Got to bring it all together. Yeah.
You need it. You need to shut down those drives, especially as of late, the last few games. I think the key players is Ethan Flowers. He has to perform better in the pass game. The front 4 continue to dominate to give your team a chance and force more mistakes to get those turnovers you need for your offense to put more points on the board.
I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be a great one. You got to wait till tomorrow to see it, though. Gerald and I will call it tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. But later tonight, here it is, game of the week, Saturday night spectacular. You got 4-1 Mexico City at 4-1 Vancouver. These two teams are no strangers to each other. This is the season 24 championship rematch. It takes place tonight, 9 p.m. in that special Saturday night spectacular. And both of these squads are on a trajectory to get back to that championship game this season. They're both sitting at 4-1. All right, listen, I'm not going to offer up my opinions because obviously I've got a vested interest in my beloved Aztecs. However, I will talk facts, right? Number 1 in points per game. Number 1 in points per game on the road. That's right, they're on the road this week. Number 2 in points allowed per game. Number 2 in points allowed on the road. Number 1 in takeaways. Number 2 in turnover differential. Number 1 in net points. That's a powerhouse right there. That's a powerhouse right there. But you know what, though?
Yeah.
You know what, though? Let's keep talking facts. Let's give Vancouver their props as well. Because, good Lord, number 2 in points per game. Number 2 in points per game at home. Number 2 in points per game on the road. Number 1 in rush yards per game. Number 1 in total yards per game. Number 2 in rushing touchdowns. Number 1 in rushing yards allowed per game. Also number 1 in takeaways. And number 1 in turnover differential. Good Lord. These teams are rock solid on offense, defense, special teams. They are both top in the league in so many categories. Who's going to win? I have no idea.
And typically you see these type of stats and teams playing in a playoff setting.
Yeah.
We're getting it
this is a playoff
mid-season,
setting. Yeah.
Right? So, look, I wish we were calling this game. We can't, right? Because you Aztecs
Cam stole it.
It's a crazy thing. It was like, dude, this is a monumental match, a rematch of the championship game, right?
Yep.
It's insane. But look, Mexico City, this team has been the best team in the SFL for going on 3 seasons now. 2 championships in a row, right? And look, and they are giving everyone in the SFL a look at what building a football dynasty is all about. I got to give you guys credit.
Sorry, Cam.
That's exactly what they're doing. Like, when a team beats them, they identify the issue and immediately fix it and proceed to blow out the very next opponent. I don't know. It's like, that's a problem. We even in like think about Bossier City.
Yep.
Most people thought you were just gonna blow them out. It was a very tight game.
It was.
You guys identified a problem in a winning formula, and then you blew out the other team the next week. It's Florida. Sorry, Florida. It is what it is. But I'm just saying, like, it's just crazy to me how it happens. Look, and there's so many contributors across both the offense and the defense. Like you mentioned before, the offense is number 1 in scoring. You're averaging, 30 points a game.
Yep.
Along with having the number 6 rushing offense and the number 6 total offense put together. You guys also rank number 4 in third down offense, converting 59% of the thirds down to first downs. The defense, number 2 in scoring, collectively, right, only allowing 13.4 points a game.
Yep.
Along with having the number 8 total defense. Your defense is tied number 1 with Vancouver, like you mentioned, but with the most takeaways in the SFL. Oddly, and this is the oddity about the defense to me.
Yeah.
You guys are 4th worst in sacks.
We can't buy a sack.
You guys can't just buy a sack. You can't do nothing. Poor Dan Tritz.
I'll send Dan Tritz to the bakery. He can't even buy a sack of flour. Like, he can't buy any sacks whatsoever.
But guess what? I tell you what, Dan Tritz is the guy. He's the fastest guy on punt return.
He's
the first guy to make that tackle.
Best long snapper in the league, hands down.
But but you guys have the league's 4th best third down defense, only allowing 37% conversions to the opponents. Look, there just are no negatives on this squad, and I do not envy the opponents that you guys face each and every week. I don't understand. Like, I understand how you're doing it because I see it. Yeah. But the way you guys identify a problem and you fix it immediately and efficient, and it just proves, hey, look, you guys are proving week in, week out. Like, you lose week 1, you come out and you beat the crap out of people. You have a tight game that you win. I'm thinking, in the Revs, I'm like, we win. It's good. We're perfect. No, you're not. You're like, no, there's so many problems, and you blow the next team out. Mm-hmm. So, for me, the key players this week, you already know it. Tight end, Bill.
Got to get Bill
Henry.
Going.
Guess what? When he is involved, the offense takes it to the next level for me. It's completely wide open. No one knows what to do. When he's involved, it gets way better. The front 4. If you guys can somehow muster pressure, you guys could arguably be the best defense in the SFL if you guys can get pressure.
We'll try. I don't know.
You just can't. But look, it's working for you guys. Look, I just don't see a weakness on the Aztecs right now as week 9 begins.
I will Venmo you later. Thank you for that glowing review. Let's get into Vancouver.
Look, in Vancouver, almost everything I said about Mexico City, I can say about them.
Yep.
Except they might be, in my opinion, a little bit better.
They might be.
Now, what they have that you guys don't have in Mexico City is the AI, Mark Lopez.
He's not real.
Who has turned
the dude's
Vancouver
not real.
into one of the most feared teams in the SFL this season. They boast the number 1 offense in the SFL.
Yep.
And average, this is a crazy stat when I looked it up, they average nearly 100 more yards of offense than the number 2 total offense in the league.
That is wild.
Look, they are the only offense in the SFL that averages over 400 yards a game.
That's crazy.
On offense.
It's just crazy numbers.
Super high-powered offense. Look, their offense is number 3, right, total. And guess what? They are third. The number 3 in their third down offense, converting 61% on third downs as an offense. Just like Mexico City, they have many different contributors to their success. It's crazy. It's funny how, like, you see those teams like that whenever they are really, really good, spread the ball around so much.
Yeah, it's not just one player that's getting it done.
So many people get involved. And Christian Brown at the quarterback position, he's number 1 in QBR.
Oh, he's playing at an all-star level right now.
98.4 QBR. They have the number 1 rushing attack with Devin Lloyd and fullbacks J.W. Doyle and Jalen Welch. They average 189 yards on the ground per game.
I haven't even hit 189 yards on a game.
Dude, it's insane. And guess what? And the defense, as I mentioned before, is tied with Mexico City in takeaways. But they are better with having the number 1 rush defense along with the number 3 total defense for them as well. They only allow 16 points a game on defense. It ranks 5th. Look, and they have the league's best third down defense, only allowing 30% conversions to their opponents on third downs and they can rush the passer better than you guys. They're ranked 6th in the league in sacks.
I mean, most people can.
Well-rounded. Look, another team that seemingly has no weakness. Look, I know both these teams have one loss, but guess what? Sometimes you run into a buzzsaw. You run into a bad
can't win
situation.
them all, yeah.
And guess what? But at 4-1, I do think these teams are among the best in the league.
Yes, sir.
And their key players this week is, in my opinion, Brett Killian.
Always.
And John Michael Sutter, the former
He's
Louisiana
huge.
player. When these two guys gets involved, it just changes their whole dynamic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
what we didn't see in their loss, they didn't really get involved all that much, right? And they were just and they were just stopped cold for what they did. Look, if they can be game changers, they need to get them the ball and get them active. And quarterback Emmanuel Blackman, tell
he's my
Jordan
nemesis.
Sipe to look out because he
Throw it
leads
anywhere
the
else.
SFL in interception this
Picked
season.
him off in the championship.
He's all over the place, and he can make any passing game difficult. So both these teams got a lot to worry about and do.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see. After I watch Louisiana North win, I'm going to watch this game, and we're going. I'm gonna take a couple sips and see how it shakes out.
It's gonna be great. Listen, one of these teams is going to 5-1 to try to keep pace with Houston. The other one's going to fall to 4-2, and still have a winning record with double the wins over their losses. But it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. Nothing but respect for that Vancouver squad. Love those guys. Great team. In fact, I made a bet with team owner Andy Hamilton that if Vancouver beat the Aztecs in the championship game, I would hang a Canadian flag in the studio for the whole season. We beat Vancouver. I still hung the flag. That's how much we respect them. Got to represent Canada. Canada's part of our league.
Sure
so
is.
got to make sure all the countries are represented here. But looking forward to that game tonight at 9 p.m. Let's get into our picks. We both went 6-2 in week 7. We finally knew what we were talking about again. I love it. I'm up to 34-20 now. You are at 31-23. Still,
I got
a few
30
games
wins.
behind.
Got 30 wins.
Yeah. Hey, you got more wins than losses. Can't say that for the whole season, so you're back in it. But we got a bunch of games to pick on this week, so let's jump right into it. Baltimore at Denver. Who do you got?
All right, so look, Denver. Everybody knows I love Denver and what they do, and they've kind of got themselves back in. They won a good game last game they had. It was a nice tight game, but the way Baltimore's played the last 2 weeks, yes, they lost to the undefeated DC Dragons going into DC, but they played really well, in my opinion. I do think they clean up some of the mistakes that they had. I don't think Denver is as good as DC is, even though they have a really good defense. I do think Baltimore goes in there and, in my opinion, pulls the upset and beats Denver. I love you, Jimmy. I just got to go Baltimore. They're looking too good right now to me.
I'm gonna listen. I love this because we're starting off with different picks right off the bat. I'm gonna go with Denver. Give me Denver at home. They're the ones with the winning record. Baltimore has just looked very shaky this season. They have gotten it a little bit cleaned up these last couple of games, but I think Denver comes out on top in this one. Give them the win, and they'll extend that winning record. Got Los Angeles at Chicago.
Look, I hate it. I don't like Chicago. I don't like the uniforms. They need to bring back the bomb pops to me. I don't like the gimmicky stuff that they do. But guess what? It's worked.
It works.
I called out the mad scientist. He's like, bro, we got the right formula. Mad scientists and now we're scientists.
You got roasted for that.
I do. I got roasted.
On your own show.
I think it was the ladies hanging outside the stadium waiting to stab me. I'm like, hey, I got to come around. Chicago's doing really good things.
They are.
L.A., not so much.
Not
I
yet.
had high hopes for L.A. with some little bit of changes that had going on, but L.A. just doesn't have it. They're going into Chicago. Chicago's going to continue, and Chicago's going to be 4-2 after this one.
I agree. Give me Chicago in this one. I think that they take the win. Los Angeles put up quite a fight in their loss to Sin City in Week 7, but I think Chicago at home just going to be too tough. Gimmicky or not, they're going to get the win. Arizona at Albuquerque.
See, and this is one that at the beginning of the season, I would say, hey, no brainer, Albuquerque right off the bat. But guess what? Houston goes into there and actually takes down Albuquerque, and Albuquerque don't quite look like Albuquerque looks, right?
Yeah.
So, but guess what? They are at home, and I struggled with this pick.
You
They
did.
are at home. I'm like, God, Arizona's playing well, but they're going to Albuquerque because of that history Albuquerque has playing at home. And I'm like, I have to go with Eddie Gage. Why? Because he's found whatever formula that he was struggling with like the past couple of seasons, he's got it finally figured out. He's got that team rolling well. I do think they're going to Albuquerque. And Albuquerque, I don't want to say it because it just sounds wrong. They're going to lose another home game.
Yeah. Give me Arizona as well. Albuquerque undefeated at home. That's not a thing anymore. And, they just, I don't know. They looked really strong out of the gate, and then they stumbled, fell down, and haven't gotten back up. They're 2-3. I think they're going to go to 2-4. Queen City at Pitt.
Queen City shut out Carolina,
Sure
a struggling
did.
Carolina team, might I add.
Yes.
They shut them out, but a shutout. It's so hard to just hold an opponent to no points. They looked really good at home against Carolina last week. But Pittsburgh, the last 3 weeks, have been steadily getting better and better. So that first one that they won, and then it seemed like they looked much better and cleaner. Last week, they looked much better and cleaner than that, and they played much better at home than they do on the road.
They do.
Louisiana North takes it. I said it earlier when I was talking about the games I'm going to be watching. Louisiana North is going to win this one.
You know what? And I agree. I was proud of Buffalo. I was happy to see Queen City get that win, the shutout win over the Skyhawks. Sorry, Carolina, but love me some Buffalo. Pittsburgh, I think, is going to host them and beat them. I think Pittsburgh gets the win, and they extend their record to 4-2. Currently number 6 in the standings. We could see them go into the top 5 when we do our Week 10 show.
Who knows? If they keep playing good, they might get flexed in a game or something.
Maybe. We'll see what happens. Foreshadowing. That was weird. Mexico City at Vancouver, Saturday Night Spectacular.
Vancouver is at home, and they are extreme. Look, I can't say how good that they are. But man, Mexico City scares me. Like they just I don't know. Like when I had my team, you guys didn't scare me, but then you won a championship. And you started to give me nightmares. I'm like, I got to quit the league before I get beat all the time.
Ran away.
So
just like the horse.
Yep. So, and guess what? I have to choose Mexico City. Why? Because of the last 3 games that you played in the way. I mentioned you guys fix a problem when nobody realizes that it's a problem.
Yeah.
You guys fix it, and you just proceed to just beat the crap out of the next team. Not saying you can beat the crap out of Vancouver because they're extremely good.
They are good.
I do think it's going to be one of the better games this season.
Oh, I do too.
But I do think you guys are going to inch it out by a field goal at the end.
Ooh, all right. Warm up that leg, Chaz Blackwater. Give me the Aztecs. Obviously, I got to always pick Mexico City. We're not going to pick Minnesota, Detroit. We're calling that one. Lexington at Chicago.
And this is the thing, like at Charleston and Lexington, they just, I don't know, they look out of sorts. Charleston,
I didn't know who to pick. To be honest, I didn't know who to pick.
And Charleston, like last season, they played better than what their record was. They came into this season, they started out kind of well, but then they just kind of fell over. Lexington is another one. They just hit or miss, right? But I think Charleston looks a little bit, and they are at home, by the way. Charleston looks a little bit less of a team right now than Lexington does. I'm taking the Boogeyman and the Lexington Miners to beat the Predators.
All right, well, I'm going to go with Charleston. I'm going to go with Charleston in this one. Why? Because, Lexington was head, and Charleston was tails. I flipped a coin, landed on tails. Charleston. Give me Charleston.
No,
Carolina, Washington.
No,
that's it.
Look, it's not fun anymore, Carolina. You got to win. You got to make me look bad, but you're not. Like, it's fun to pick against you when you're kind of winning and you want to prove me wrong, but you prove me right. I don't want to be right. I like that love-hate relationship we got. You need to help me out here. But look, they're not looking very good at all. They looked subpar even in their win.
They did.
They did not look really good. Washington, right? We know what they can do. They looked a little bit better, and they are at home. They play great at home. So, and Carolina is again on the road. They got shut out last week in Buffalo, and then they're traveling all the way across the country. That's never good for any team in any sport. And Washington, I think, is going to beat them pretty handily. Yeah,
Washington at 2-3. It's odd. I think they get back to 500 this week. Carolina, they're in a position now where it's going to be tough to pick them in any situation until they show us that those 4 losses are in the past and they can get back into the win column. Give me Washington in this one. And last but not least, Sin City at D.C. Undefeated D.C. I think this one's an obvious pick.
Yeah, I do think it is, but Sin City is looking better. I don't think they're going to go in there and beat them. I do think it's going to be more of what Baltimore gave D.C. here. It's going to be somewhat close. I expect D.C. to win by no more than 7 to 10 points.
Okay. I'm going to take D.C. as well. I think it's actually going to be a little bit bigger of a victory than that. I think it's going to be at least 2, if not 3 scores. I think D.C. is just going to smoke them. Listen, Sin City did do good against Los Angeles and beat them, but like by this much against a team that's 1-4, and that's not a shot at Los Angeles. That's just saying, yeah, Sin City won, but not by much. And now you're going up against an undefeated team at home.
That's almost like I don't even know who Carolina beat. Carolina won 1 game, but
yeah, they beat somebody.
But that says a lot about the other team. The more does Carolina.
Yeah, that's it. So hey, there's our picks. We've got SFL football today. We've got SFL football tomorrow, and then the league takes a break next weekend. But get ready, because on Friday, September 19th, we have our contenders and Pretenders show to kick off Week 10.
Yes.
I am looking forward to that one, man.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yes, finally.
Is Pittsburgh going to get talked about? Are they going to be a pretender? Are they going to be a contender? We'll see what
I'm
teams
excited.
are in there.
I'm excited.
I'm
Already
pumped.
kind of got some ideas.
And we got 2 weeks to prep for the show.
I know.
It's going to be fantastic. Listen, this has been the Matt Willson SFL Kickoff Show. For Gerald Smith, Cameron Irvine, Ron Haynes, thanks for those videos, buddy, and Jeffrey Daggs, who helped us on production tonight. I'm Mike Daggs. Thanks for joining us. Get ready. SFL action starts next.